Hello, everyone. I'm Tracy, and thank you for tuning in today. And so, if you're not subscribed yet, please do so before you leave and like, comment, and share this video so we can get the word out. So, with that, let me talk about what we're going to be discussing today. And it's going to be about Haleakala. And Haleakala is the highest mountain peak on Maui. It's one of the most visited tourist destinations with over 1 million visitors a year. And I feel like, at least when I was growing up, when you grow up in Hawaii, it's one of those things you just do. Like you eventually will, kind of like a pilgrimage or something like that. That's how I felt. I went as a child, so I remember what it was like. And Haleakala is not where that arrow is. That is where Haleakala is. So it's in the southern eastern part of the island, or as some will say, the Pico, which is belly button in Hawaiian. It's in the Pico of the island of Maui. And that was very significant to the Native Hawaiians. And this spot is a sacred area, and the Native Hawaiians valued this area greatly. Now, I'll show you a little bit more about what it looks like. Here's the sign when you drive in. Most people, at least this is what I did. We left very early in the morning before the sun came out, and we did the drive so we can get there to see sunrise. So it's very cold because the elevation is over 10,000 feet. And the reason I want to bring this up is because they had recently proposed the building of 6 more telescopes. So here's a kind of mock-up of one of the earlier ones that they built. And there was a lot of opposition to this first big one right here. And here's a picture of a protest. People were laying on the ground, but somehow they got it to happen. And there's been this telescope on there. So this is kind of what you can expect to see when you're up there. It's very barren. And they have these little volcano cones. I think that's what they call it. According to Hawaiian traditions, Pele, who is the volcano goddess, made these to create heat because it was so cold up there. I'll get back to that in a little bit, but I will play this video about the proposal of the 6 additional telescopes.
The military wants to build more telescopes on Haleakala to track an increasing number of satellites and other objects in space.
But many in the Native Hawaiian community and their supporters are rallying against it. Sarben Gutierrez has more on a series of meetings that concluded tonight on the Valley Isle.
The U.S. Space Force is proposing a new space surveillance project atop Haleakala that it says is needed to provide data as the sky above us gets more crowded with satellites. This project is in its early stages, but it's already getting some stiff pushback at community meetings on Maui this week. The project, known as Amos STAR, would track satellites and other space objects from a facility on the Haleakala summit. The Department of the Air Force wants to build up to 7 new telescopes and an optics lab on about an acre of land near the current Maui Space Surveillance Complex.
As more things are in orbit, more objects, there's more potential for collision, there's more potential for the traffic safety, right, is effectively kind of what that looks like. And so with more objects in space, you need more telescopes to more frequently track the objects in space.
The Air Force held 3 scoping meetings to get input from the community for a draft environmental impact statement. Tonight's meeting in Kihei drew hundreds, with nearly everyone who spoke opposed to the idea.
Tonight, I want to foremost reject so-called alternatives that ironically leave no real alternative and extend outright disrespect the principle of consent. That is, when we say no, it means no.
The Air Force says the proposed telescopes won't go higher than 35 feet, well short of the current 184-foot-tall Daniel K. Inouye Solar Telescope, which drew protests during its construction. But the project, like the stalled 30-meter telescope on Mauna Kea, is drawing opposition from Native Hawaiians who consider Haleakala as sacred.
That mountain is my grandmother. That mountain is my family.
This project is not merely about stars and satellites. It is a continuation of the stellar colonial project.
The Space Force was criticized last year when 700 gallons of diesel fuel spilled into the soil from a malfunctioning generator at the space surveillance complex. And officials say they've already heard a lot of objections surrounding the proposed telescopes in the earlier meetings.
A lack of comprehensive management plan for parties on the summit, desecration of sacred spaces, and mental, emotional, and spiritual effects felt by citizens.
Over the last 2 nights, I think there has been at least 99% no. Is that enough? If not, what will it take?
Those who aren't able to speak at this week's meetings have until June 7th to submit written testimony. We have more information on how to do that on our website. Ben Gutierrez, Hawaii News Now.
Now you saw some of the plans and the pushback that the public has given to this proposed construction. So something else that piqued my interest when I heard about these facilities being built or proposed to be built are these Vantusky satellite images that someone sent me early on when I first started reporting on the Maui fires. Now, these are DBZ readings, and I personally don't have the expertise to understand exactly what's going on here, but there were 2 of these anomalies the day before the fire, so on the 7th. So this here was taken on the 7th. So the northern one, this is a different mountain peak, but if you can see where the other one is, it's right where the number 15 is. It's right where Haleakala is. So I felt like I should have brought that up because it's just another coincidence that where Space Force and the Air Force are building up these high-powered lasers and telescopes and abilities to communicate with space, I think it's just a very strong coincidence that so much activity has been going on above Haleakala. And I have a picture of the 5th. So 3 days before the fire, there's an anomaly off the north shore of Maui right here. And then I have some other pictures of the telescope that's there. So they're kind of like a number of them. And the ones that they're proposing are kind of like medium sized. And here is the spill that happened last year, 700 gallons of diesel fuel. I'm guessing they did what they could to clean it up, but I don't know exactly what they did. And here is a article about how this is a sacred place and that this is kind of like one of the reasons why there are protests, because this land is very significant to not just the people that live there now, but to the people who lived there before. So this is a guy from Space Force or the Air Force. So Space Force has a pretty strong presence. The Air Force and Space Force has a strong presence on Maui. Here's another picture of the construction. Something else, a couple of things that have come my way through emails, no one that wants to come on the record, but I have received a number of reports of UFOs coming from Haleakala. And some of these are single stationary, like orbs or balls of light. And some of them are larger, like formations. Some of them are like a number of lights that change and, change into different shapes. So if you are of the camp that believes that the U.S. military is in possession of anti-gravitic craft, it would make sense that these craft are above Haleakala because of the technology there. Now, I would love to talk about the whole UFO phenomena, but it's such a hot topic and there's so many different opinions. And so at some point, I'll maybe share my opinion on what I think these objects are. But I do strongly believe that a lot of these sightings are of human technology, most likely, military dark project craft that the public has not been made privy to yet. Okay, so now how are they going to get these structures put up. They have to get voted on by the Maui County Council. And I initially thought County Hernandez was going to be in support of this. However, this was released on the 3rd of June of this year, actually coming from County Rollins Fernandez, saying that they are in opposition of this new construction that's being proposed. They had a couple of meetings in Kihei, and as you saw in that video, pretty much everyone was against it. And I have one more clip here from Ali Duklo. I'll show you guys.
Military officials are proposing to build more telescopes on Maui's Haleakala. The project is in the beginning stages, and the Air Force is asking for feedback.
Our Maui Bureau Chief Ali Duklo spoke with both backers and opponents of having more telescopes on the mountain.
The plan involves building at least 6 telescopes on Haleakala to, quote, provide precise and timely data to address rising threats and increasing dependence on space-based systems.
I completely oppose this new construction because ultimately it doesn't benefit us. This is another layer of trauma.
I think it's exciting. I think it's a good thing that we're continuing to engage with the astronomy industry and expanding our astronomy footprint in Hawaii. I think that's excellent for the growth of Hawaii.
Supporters and critics commenting on the Maui Optical and Supercomputing Site Small Telescope Advanced Research Facility. The Department of the Air Force this week announcing it plans to prepare an environmental impact statement on the proposed project. Here's a look at where the development would be located, on a little less than an acre of land next to the Maui Space Surveillance Complex, nicknamed Science City. The site is also designated as the Vau'akua, or realm of the gods in Hawaiian traditions. Some argue adding more telescopes there would further mar the mountain many consider sacred.
If we don't belong up there, neither do man-made telescopes belong up there, and it should stay that way. And we should be concerned about keeping it how it is, how it should be a place of ceremony, a place of sanctuary for Kanaka.
The Department of the Air Force says it is committed to respecting Native Hawaiian heritage and Haleakala's cultural sites, as well as continuing to strictly follow state and federal laws.
I think there's always, a process to go through, and I think sounds like they're going through the process. I think that's a good thing.
The public is encouraged to provide feedback on the proposal, and the Department of the Air Force is also set to host 3 community meetings next month. We have more information on KITV.com. A'ali'i Duklo, Island News.
All right, so as you heard there are more than just telescopes up there. There's advanced technologies, and this base up there has been developed for a long time, as early as the 80s, I know for sure, possibly before that. And it makes sense because it's at over 10,000 feet. And the downside is that it's considered one of the most historically, culturally significant areas of the state. And not just on Maui, but of the state of Hawaii. But they are going to have to pass this bill through the Maui County Council. And so far, it seems like they're not in support of it. But I don't think that's going to stop them from trying, as we saw with the Olowalu dump site. Hundreds of people testified against putting the toxic ash in Olowalu, yet they did it anyways. So I would not be surprised if Space Force and the military get their way and are able to build these facilities or to ramp up the facilities already there. But we will see in time. But, I do want to point out the fact that there is something going on there that the military is keeping quiet. There's just so many anomalies, so everything from these DBZ readings right before the fire. Here's one on the north. Also, I don't want to show the footage I have because it belongs to someone else and it's kind of sensitive information. but there was a orb, as I mentioned before, stationary above Haleakala the night before the fire, and a number of UFO sightings. So I don't know what's going on there, but I do think they're all related somehow. How that is, how the UFOs, how these facilities, how the DBZ warrant anomalies, and the timing of that to the fire. I don't know how to put it all together, but it just seems like Haleakala is one of those places where there's a lot of activity of all different types. So that is going to do it for today. I do have some new Maui Massacre shirts coming in any day now. So if you want to go to my Square site, I have them listed there. I also ordered some hats, but I have not seen them yet, so I didn't list those quite yet. And I did get this next stock in the color white, so they're not going to be in the maroon color. The only maroon ones that I have are in size small, and I only have a few of those left. So unless you order a size small, you'll be getting the white Maui Massacre shirt. And I just thought it'd be a change of pace, and with summer going on and all that. So if you would like to support the cause and support my efforts and this channel, please go there and purchase a shirt. Today's Wednesday. I'm supposed to get them Friday, so I'll most likely send them out over the weekend or early next week, which would be the 14th or 15th of June. So yeah, that's going to do it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all soon. Bye.